Hello everyone. Today we will be seeing the Business Analyst full course, and uh, in this course we will be seeing the following chapters: Business Analysis Overview, then the definition of business analysis, then what is the business analyst role, what value does the business analysis bring, the knowledge areas, the key terms and concepts. Then we'll see the internal and external project stakeholders, and then the requirement classifications, design document, requirement design document, and the design cycle. So I hope this course will be very useful and informative for all of you. So let's begin. The business analysis is the organization that do not plan or do not analyze the projects in the starting actually result in the loss of time, money, and effort, or even the project failure sometimes. So it's certainly required that planning is very essential, and this is done by a business analyst who ensures that all are on one page, the organization and the stakeholders, and they are well understood and the design solutions are met with those requirements. So in this course we will see that what value does a business analysis bring in, its fundamental and foundational terms and concepts, and what a business analyst can do to help here. The business analysis is a set of practices that are used to analyze a business process to take advantage of the opportunities and solve some specific business problems. The practice actually encompasses of the people, the processes, and the technologies. Like the business analysts are there, managers are there, processes, business analysis processes there, and then the business analyst is also a person who conducts the stakeholder analysis, and it analyzes the data related to any errors, and then they document the existing process. In addition to this, they also interview stakeholders at all levels. There are business leaders, there are business managers, then SMEs, the subjects matter experts, with whom these business analysts actually talk to them, all of them, and get the desired inputs from all the levels to actually meet the goals and objectives and rules, and to understand the real problem. So now, for example, let's say a business analyst finds that stakeholders have a need for automating a scheduling system. Now they want the solution to automate the rules related to overtime, the time off, vacation, sick days, and in order to remove the manual errors related to those rules. And because of this importance of attendance, scheduling is at a high risk area. The business analyst must ensure that the documented business rules and workflows are correct and well documented and well understood by the stakeholders, revealing the resulting requirements. Now, a prototype of screen flows and decision matrices also help to achieve this. Finally, the business analyst will document the impact of the change of the stakeholders to determine the training needed by them to be successful in achieving this goal. There are several contexts in which you can apply business analysis, First is the business analyst may work on enterprise initiatives and projects and continuously make improvements to the solution. These might include strategic initiatives such as launching a new project or bringing a new product line or the improvement of business operations. So, here a business analyst would analyze the current environment, what are the processes, what are the technologies used, and they determine the optimal changes accordingly. After that, they write a business case providing the options for change, including cost benefit analysis, impact to stakeholders, and new processes in technology. Tactical work often manifests itself as a minor change to the existing state, such as software enhancement. Operational changes may come about because of new business rules, policies, or even external drivers, such as regulatory changes. Now, the business analysis may also apply to a project which is a process that enables change. So, a project has a start and an end date, and it starts once the business case is approved. The business analyst will then provide more details of the business need in the form of requirements. Now, requirements ensures that the change reflects the business need and they must be clear enough for the project team to implement that change. The second thing is that continuous improvement includes changes based on feedback loops. For example, a monthly report on cycle time for processing insurance claims indicates that it is taking longer than the departmental objectives, indicating that it should be. The business analyst would analyze the process and also observe the staff that is working, and then he can recommend the change or not. The business analyst may also discover that there is an anomaly in the data and that no change is needed. So, a perspective is a point of view from which you approach a business analysis. There are five types of perspectives in a project. The first one is agile projects consists of constant changes requiring the business analyst to be flexible and modify how they approach the business analysis tasks. And the changes are implemented in very small iterations, requiring the business analyst to either act upon that or a product owner requesting the change. Now, or to liaison with the sponsor or product owner to deliver incrementally over a short period of time. The business intelligence perspective utilizes data from multiple sources to provide information enabling evidence based changes, reporting needs or changes to data integration system. So the business analyst must also have skills like data modeling, decision modeling, and the knowledge of information dashboards. This information technology perspective focuses on changes of information technology. The scope varies from enhancements to the implementation of large systems. So the business analyst is also a link between the business and the information technology. The business architect perspective provides the blueprints of the business and manages or identifies changes to business capabilities, processes, and they drive the need for a business case and a project. So here what does the business analyst do? He does not typically participate at the operational level. The business process management perspective is about improving business processes. Unlike the business architect perspective, the business analyst does most of the work at the operational level. The process manager will create an as is process model, and after understanding the business goals, objectives, and key performance indicators will make change and produce to the process. It's quite possible for all the business analyst perspectives to work on one initiative. Business analyst isn't just a title, it is the practices, the tasks, and the activities that make someone a business analyst. For example, if you work with a business to understand their needs and changes to processes, and then how the data is collected, or how technology needs to work in order to get the job done, then you are conducting elicitation tasks. Now, elicitation means the troubleshooting tasks. How do the business analysts conduct those? There are five business analyst activities. The first is analyzing needs, which is when the information you receive from the business is analyzed against a desired state, outcome, or goal. If the need doesn't contribute positively to the goal, then the business analyst will document it, but advise the stakeholder that the requirement is out of scope and cannot be considered. Analyzing solutions occur only when the business analyst analyzes the information and then he looks for the solution. When developing strategies, the business analysts need to think critically, look at the big picture, and drill down into the details, and then create strategies to address business issues. Facilitating change is an again another important task for the BA, and ensuring collaboration is one of your primary tasks. Without stakeholders, you have no requirements. Some of the key business analyst roles are: 1. System analyst, 2nd. Management consultant, and 3rd. Product manager. A system analyst focuses on changes to technology. The system analyst will write functional requirements describing how the system may behave to reach an outcome. The requirements must be written clearly in enough detail that the project team, a designer, a programmer, and the software quality assurance person understand them so that the changes can be made to the system. Management consultants work for consulting firms which advise companies on the best ways to manage and operate their business. The firm will take advice on concepts like the business strategies and operational effectiveness and techniques. Management consultants tend to have specialties in niche markets, for example, the insurance, oil or gas, utilities, retail. This type of business analyst will conduct benchmark studies, share best practices, and enable change. A product manager is responsible for the development of new products for a company. A product manager needs to understand how a customer perceives the value for the product, and new products drive change. So there are also several other job titles under the business analyst function. They are data analysts, enterprise analysts, process analysts, business architects, naming a few. Business analysis value. Business analysis can add value to an organization through improved project management. Expectations are defined when a business analyst helps to find solution at the beginning of the project. They ensure expectations of the stakeholders are properly set in reality and managed throughout the project life cycle. Then there are no surprises or disappointments at the other end. Project scope is managed when the business analysis achieves early buy in from all the stakeholders about the solution's scope so that the scope of the project doesn't expand. The management of requirements changes also helps to minimize the cost and schedule overruns. Project goals must align with business goals. The business analyst must understand the organization's problems, goals, and strategic objectives. This ensures that as a project progresses, a business analyst can tell when the goal of the project doesn't align with the business goals, and they can then actually cancel the project if necessary. Finally, the business analyst also ensures that estimates are dependable, defining exactly what needs to be accomplished allows the team to develop good cost and time estimates for solutions. Improved cooperation has several benefits to an organization. First, facilitates transition to production. Transitioning from the old to the new state is difficult for users of the solution, so you should not underestimate this. A good business analyst knows how to prepare an organization for the change through the training or communication. It's important for users to adopt to the new ways of doing the things as soon as possible so that the organization reaps its benefits of the new system. Normally, what happens when we have new processes, there are many employees who are quite afraid of not taking up the new processes very fast, and they tend to remain on the old processes and try to work with those old things because they are quite comfortable with that because those processes are running since last so many years. But here, if we do not change ourselves and not bring up and work on a new processes, the organization will never change. So next, it also improves the communication and collaboration. One of the main roles of a business analyst is to keep everyone communicating and cooperating and to facilitate understanding. It starts with eliciting tasks and needs, clearly communicating them and translating them into requirements, then getting stakeholders to collaborate on the design and clearly communicating the solution to the end users. Finally, improved cooperation improves efficiency. A business architect advising a program office would ensure that there aren't any duplicate projects. A good business analyst can elicit and identify the true needs and design the best solution to meet those needs so that there is no trial and error approach to problem solving, thereby saving time and money. Improved efficiency can also achieve in number of ways. It prevents redundancies. It prevents and ensures that you get it right the first time, and also reduces or eliminates waste. The business analysis processes is iterative. As you gain more knowledge, more opportunities, more efficiency may become evident. Taking advantage of those opportunities will lead to the continuous improvement, and then having detailed rules, processes, and instructions of for how to roll out and use solutions also decreases the likelihood of user mistakes and assists in identifying any defects or errors in the software or service prior to rollout. Business analysis, key terms and concepts. It is important to have a common understanding of terms and concepts used by business analysis professionals. As with any profession, business analysis uses specific terminology to communicate concepts and activities. It's important to have an understanding of these terms. This will help you to utilize the knowledge areas in the business analyst body of knowledge guide or BABOK and mitigate any misunderstanding. Business analysis information refers to the broadened verse sets of information that business analysts analyze, transform, and report. Example of this information include solicitation results, stakeholders, plans, project progress, and changes. Now, a requirement is a usable representation of a need and should provide something value to all the stakeholders. Requirements need to be decomposed and constraints identified in order to provide the best solution. There may be a time constraint to the customer relationship management software should be provided with standard terminology for easy access and recording. A design is a usable representation of a solution. It represents how value can be realized from a solution. And then comes plan. A plan is a proposal. The business analyst should plan tasks, activities, and the sequence of those events. Then comes risk. Risk is the effect of uncertainty of the value of the change, solution, or enterprise. Operational risks include financial losses due to stakeholder resistance to change and not adopting to the solutions or processes that don't meet the regulatory constraints. A business analyst assesses risk to the solution and may include the tangible impacts such as the fines for non-compliance or non-tangible impacts resulting from non-compliance that could affect the company's reputation in the market. An organization is a group of people under management who have common objectives that need to be met in order to achieve the goals and meet the enterprise strategy. This is often referred to as an organization level of the enterprise. And the tactical business analysis activities that often occur in the organization, such as the modifications to the processes or the enhancements to the technology, affect the uncertainty on the value of change, solution, or enterprise. And an enterprise is comprised of departments or business units. In essence, it's a company which includes solutions such as processes, technology, policy, information, business roles. Now that you know the key terms in business analysis, let's focus on the core concepts as outlined in the business analysis core concept model. The business analysis core concept model displays the captioned way of BABOK uh, guide. The business analysis core concept model is a framework for business analysis. Now, it provides a common approach no matter what the scope is, or a domain, or an approach to that business analyst chooses. There are six core concepts in the model: changes, needs, solutions, stakeholders, value, and contexts. Each concept influences and impacts the other. So, which are the concepts we saw? They are six core concepts: model, changes, needs, solutions, stakeholders, value, and contexts. Then comes changes. Changes are introduced via solutions that are carried out within the context of an organization, responding to the needs of the stakeholders and what signifies value to them. Change is transformation. It can be large or small, complex or simple, but an organization is predicted on a need. Changes don't always include improvements, but they should, even if the changes relates to a regulatory need. A project typically controls the activities of the change and is deliberate because a project must be approved and also be funded. A need is a problem or opportunity. Example of needs include incorrect data, the key performance indicators not being met. Opportunities include new products and new markets. Needs motivate performing activities necessary to make improvements. All this are the higher the risk or level of adversity experienced by a company, the greater the need and usually the less time allocated for the solution. These are prioritized during project and program allocation. A solution should ultimately satisfy a need, resolve a problem, use an organization's strength to exploit an opportunity. The effectiveness of the solution can be measured only using KPI, the key performance indicators. The stakeholders' perception of how the problem is resolved may be different. Depending on their position, either they are the business leaders or business managers or the SMEs, their perception of how the problem impacts them will change. A solution to a problem takes many forms. Each stakeholder holds a piece of a puzzle that provides information on the respective needs, and also they help formulate the overall solution, and which should be investigated against those requirements. Stakeholders also have a vested interest in the outcome. They are often subject matter experts and decision makers who have influence over the outcome. Other stakeholders, like the end user of the solution, typically have very less influence and are prone to resisting the change, as we discussed earlier. The stakeholders can be grouped in a number of ways, including their level of authority, their attitude towards the change, and their level of involvement with the change. The value in an organization or a stakeholder finds worthwhile. What's in it for me? These are the questions that are asked by seniors. Often the change is communicated as urgent or needed by senior executives. Then the importance of it do add some value. When the solution is useful, it's considered valuable. The value of a solution can be tangible, such as saving money, or intangible, such as increasing a person or company's status. When value is absolute, there is no disputing its value, such as a way for stakeholders to manage their own customer profile. This would save the customer time and remove the need for an administrator or a salesperson to be engaged, freeing up that resource. That will likely increase the validity of customer data, saving time and money, and relative value is in the eye of the beholder. Context is the environment and circumstances into which you are trying to introduce change. It is what impacts and affects the change and how successful it can be implemented. The environment under which the solution will operate includes the attitude and beliefs about the change. The culture of the organization should always be taken into consideration when choosing a solution, because culture plays a very important role in any change. And then also the demographies should be taken into consideration. The current processes and structure of the environment are important as well. Then comes technology, which also has a big part to play and should always be examined, especially when making process changes. Good compatibility between systems can improve efficiency, while if it is poor system integration, that can cause new defects and even failures. Project team stakeholders. There are several key project team stakeholders, including the sponsor, business analyst, the project manager, the domain subject matter expert or SME, implementation subject matter experts, and the tester. The sponsor is the driving force in defining the overall needs, including goals and objectives for the organization and the development of the solution. Sponsors control the budget and therefore the resource allocation to initiatives and projects. The sponsor is usually someone who is an executive or a senior manager. As a project sponsor, the person will have vested interest in the outcome of the project. Then comes the business analyst. He is responsible for all the activities and the tasks needed to describe the solution. In a project, the business analyst is accountable for the execution of the requirements phase of a project. Based on the availability, the business analyst could also play other roles such as software tester or even trainer. Then comes the project manager, who overall sees the completion of the work required to deliver the solution. They are responsible for meeting project objectives outlined in project charter. The project manager also manages the certain constraints. The first is scope and budget. The project manager also delivers those elements of the solution that will meet stakeholder needs within the allocated time and budget. Next are the schedules and resources. The PM will plan a schedule in order to meet the allocated time and budget, obtaining and managing the resources needed to deliver the solution. Another constraint is quality. Quality delivered by the project team is a form of a solution that meets the accepted criteria outlined by the business analyst. And finally, the risks. The project manager is constantly identifying, monitoring, and mitigating risks to ensure the project's success. A domain subject matter expert is often referred to as an SME. This person has an in depth knowledge of the current state and the need of the operation. This can be anyone in the organization, including end users of the existing solution, who knows the ins and outs of the current issues, manager who needs data and reports in order to run day to day operations, process owners who are responsible for the key performance indicators for a process, legal and regulatory experts who are critical when defining constraints imposed by law, and consultants who are often brought in because they have specific expertise. Then comes implementation SMEs who are responsible for implementing the described solution. These roles are typically assigned to a project and use the requirements to implement the solution according to the specifications and acceptance criteria that are outlined by the business analysts. These roles include the project librarian, change manager, process owner, configuration manager, solution architect, developer, database administrator, information architect, usability analyst, trainer, and organizational change consultant. Then finally comes the tester, whose role is to verify the solution and ensure it meets the specifications. He tests the created test cases aligned to ensure that the processes and the software performs according to specifications. The tester's primary concern is to ensure that the outcome meets quality standards and therefore reduces risks and defects. External project stakeholders. Once the project is over, the solution is turned over to the operational support for day to day management of the solution. This will include maintenance, the updates, and the enhancements. There are several operational support roles. The operational analyst, he may provide support to end users and or analyze the solution for enhancements or changes. The product analyst, who studies the market and is responsible for researching market strategies which may result in some solution changes. Then comes the help desk supports the who supports the end users and provides feedback on the solution and its issues. The release manager oversees the development and implementation of software releases. They may accumulate a number of changes and put them together in a software release. This would then go out of to the end user. Customers use products or receives uh, uh, customer use products or services which are delivered and enabled by technology. End users use the solution provided through projects and operational support. They use them to complete their day-to-day activities. They use the end product and may include participants of the entire business process or just a subset. Then come suppliers who are external to the business or organization, and they provide products such as software or services. The roles include providers, vendors, and consultants. Regulators mostly define and enforce the standards on a solution. Regulations are often seen as a constraint to or a driver of a solution, and they may be from within an organization. Regulators may be a compliance department, it can be government officials, members of regulatory body, or auditors. The requirements classification schema. Business requirements describe the reason for the change. They are recorded in a business requirements document. It's also known as BRD. A BRD describes the goals and records objectives. The requirements include a current state description and a description of the desired future state. A high-level description of processes, business rules, functionality, and the data are all included. There's also a description of the stakeholders, which include their type, demographies, locations, and contact information. Assumptions are also documented. Assumptions are the things that are thought to be true but have not yet been validated. So, for better management of the project constraints, the constraints must be also documented by the business analyst. These include when the solution must be delivered and budget details, and the technology constraints also, such as compatibility with specific browsers. The stakeholder requirements describe the need that must be met. They bridge the solution and the business requirements and provide specific information about the solution to be delivered. For example, a business requirement might read the customer account record shall include account number, customer name, customer billing address, customer shipping address, phone number, and website URL. Solution requirements describe the quantities, qualities, and capabilities of the solution that must be delivered. It's everything needed to create and implement the solution. There are two types of requirements. The first one is functional requirements, which describe the system or software application, how it should behave. The second type are non-functional requirements or quality of service, which describe how well the solution behaves. This can include usability, performance, and system reliability, which describes much mean time between failures. There are also audit requirements which would include the recording of the date, the time, and the name of the user each time a transaction is entered or modified. Transition requirements are needed to go from current to the future state. They are temporary and address certain aspects such as the data conversion. This is the process of moving your data from old system to the new system. This requires that the data to be reviewed, cleaned, and described in a way that the new system can read and record it. Now, for example, in this, the date example is the one that we can take, in which the date in one system can be DD, MM, YY, YY, and in another system it can be MM, DD, YY, YY. So we have to understand what their both requirements are and do the necessary changes. Another aspect is the training requirements, including the number of users to be trained, where and when they should be trained, and the length of the training. This may also include details like the language the training might be delivered in and how the training will be delivered, for example, in the class or online. And finally, business continuity, which describes how the area under change will operate. You might consider running the old system along with the new system. This is also called running in parallel, or perhaps there will be phased rollouts of the functionality to different departments. Requirements and design. Contrary to popular belief, business analysts are responsible for both requirements and design. The various techniques used to analyze requirements are also used to design the solution. The business analyst may create a prototype to describe the functionality of the system and identify if there's functionality missing that needs to change or should be removed. It's an iterative process. For example, the prototype could be used to validate the requirements, which may prompt the need for more requirements and a change to the design. Like requirements, the designs are communicated at various levels of details, known as the levels of abstraction. Once the requirements are accepted and turned over to the implementation team, a designer will add more detail to describe the physical level of requirements in another type of design. Now, the requirements focus on meeting a need. The business analysis elicits information and analyzes that information to answer many questions such as who, what, when, where, how much, and how often. The requirements are validated by stakeholders. The business analyst manages the requirements and therefore must also manage the supporting designs. While requirements focus on a need, designs focus on a solution. A design can be used to represent the solution using process models, data models, decision trees, prototypes, or screen captures. Designs can be used to ensure that the solution will satisfy the requirements and fulfill the need. The requirement and design relationship is iterative, meaning that the requirements may be revisited and designs updated until the requirements are clearly understood and the design represents an effective solution. The business analyst must clearly define the design and then review the final design. The requirements and design cycle. In the early stages of the requirements cycle, the business analyst will elicit information from the business to understand goals and objectives. The requirements and the design cycle involve four stages. Stage one is to move from business requirements to design to stakeholder requirements. Stage two moves from stakeholder requirements to design to solution requirements. Stage three moves from solution requirements to design to transition requirements. And stage four moves from transition requirements to access outcomes and back to business requirements. So here the business requirements could apply. For example, if a company wanted to provide an advertising and rating service for their customer, in this scenario, the customer would view the advertisement online, rate the advertisement, and receive points. Once they reached a certain number of points, the user would get a coupon. The business reason for providing the service would be to sell the resulting data to other customers who need market information. This results in a high level process model which sets forth the tone for eliciting stakeholder requirements to further understand the business rules and needs. The stakeholders would discuss the process and provide details of what needs to be achieved at every step. This results in requirements that list in the data that are needed to create a user profile. This would include like the user information, like user email, demographic information, the need for the user to indicate his or her birth date. The business rule requires that any participation in the survey must be 18 years or older. All of this is documented. The stakeholders' requirements results in a high level data model, data flow diagram, detailed process flow, and a paper prototype of the form the user would need to complete. In this scenario, the solution requirements detail the system behavior and the logic to complete a step, such as calculating age, using the birth date, the size of the fields, or which files or fields are mandatory. A screen flow diagram is completed to describe the behavior of the system when certain tasks are completed. There are decision trees provide input into what should happen when certain criteria is met or not. The transition requirements use the designs to create training for internal staff on processes and expected outcomes. The screen captures, process flows, and use cases are reused to produce accurate information for the staff prior to the launch of the new site. Now, once the new site is launched, is up and running, it is monitored to ensure the necessary outcomes are being utilized and realized. Help desk calls report to the implementation team and the business analysts who then assess the issues to determine if changes to the site are needed. Modification to the usability of the site are necessary to ensure a hassle-free experience for the end user. This results in the review of business requirements, new designs, new requirements, and an up-to-date to the site. Thank you very much. Here ends our full course of Business Analyst. I am sure this would be a very informative course for you all. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.